we hope and pray that this will bring truth to the Midland community about what was done to us. And unfortunately, the police told a story that was a lie.
Well, I graduated from Midland Christian. That's where I went to school, all through junior high and high school. And my sisters all went there. And I have 4 kids, and all 4 of my kids went to Midland Christian. So Midland Christian was way more than a job for us. For my family, it was our home. I was blessed to actually go to school with Jared. And so we have been a family for a very, very long time. And then I taught 4th grade at Midland Christian. And then I was the middle school principal, and then I was moved to secondary principal.
My history with the school started when I was in my mom's womb. My dad was the principal, the high school principal at Midland Christian whenever I was born. 5 years later, he became the superintendent of Midland Christian, served as superintendent for 33 years. And yeah, Dana and I did graduate together. I knew her as Dana Youngs, and she was a class above me. But
what year did y'all graduate?
So she was 98, right, Dana?
Okay.
I was 99. When I went to college, my dad said, I went to ACU. And my dad said, I'm not going to continue paying for this unless you pick a major. And I said, I don't know what I want to do. And he said, why don't you be a teacher? You get summers off. And so I said, okay, I'll do that. And just fell in love with the profession, and taught in at Weatherford, at Westbury Christian in Houston for a year. And then was able to marry my college sweetheart, and we moved back to Midland for 3 years. She and I taught together at Midland for 3 years. And then I got an opportunity to go to Austin at Brentwood Christian School, part of Brentwood Oaks Church of Christ, and was the secondary principal there for 5 years while my wife got her law degree. And so my dad at that time told the board he was ready to retire. That was about 2011. And in 2012, my wife graduated from law school and at UT Law, and they offered me the job of basically second in command under my dad, just to see if I would be a good fit for superintendent. And they asked me to take his seat in 2018. And so Midland Christian, as Dana said, was not only a job, it was my life, it was my ministry. And when I talked to Barry about coming over, that was kind of a lot of what we talked about, was just, the opportunity to not have the bureaucracy, the red tape that sometimes can come with public school, but to just love on kids and show them who God is in their life. And that's our main focus. So yeah, that was our role.
I am a product of public schools. Coached for in high school baseball for 34 years, was a teacher for 34 years, coached in 4 different high schools, the last being Midland High, where I was the baseball coach for 22 years. I retired, I believe, in 2018, to go to work for a company called DBAT Baseball and Softball Academy, so I could be more into teaching young people how to play the game of baseball. I also had kind of gotten burned out a little bit, because after coaching for so long, I was kind of tired of it. Then I started coaching my grandson, who's now a junior in high school. Started coaching his summer team and kind of got the itch for it again. And then lo and behold, one weekday morning in the summer, I get a phone call asking if I'd be interested in applying for the Midland Christian baseball position. And I was like, dang right. Yeah, I don't know if they want an old person or not. But I said, I'll sure try. So I went up to see Greg, Coach McClendon, and I visited with him. And I went home and he called me that afternoon and said, when do you want to talk to Mr. Lee? And I was like, who's Mr. Lee? And he was like, he's the superintendent. And I go, sure. So it went really fast. Did health class and was teaching health and wasn't there very long. And then when all that happened, and
You left out the point where you were sitting next to me handcuffed in the jail saying, I will never take another phone call from Greg McClendon.
yeah, that is true. I was like, man, what an interesting day that was. I don't hate to even use the word interesting, but
Can you talk about your experience 2 years ago today, as far as what you remember about that day?
I mean, I can say, shock and, heartbreak and disappointment. We, from the moment that the police got involved, we were very open, transparent, and more than willing to work, with the police. And, we did everything very ethically and, very sound and, very much in line with our morals, our beliefs, and the school's policies and procedures. So, to say we were shocked, I think would be, it would be an understatement, a colossal understatement.
Can you I think the particular lawsuit describes a perp walk. Do you remember that? I mean, as far as what did you see? I mean, were you handcuffed and coming?
We were handcuffed. There were children out front, my children, my personal children, and children in the school that saw us. And we asked for that not to happen.
Then there were cameras
Lots,
that you saw, lots of cameras.
yeah, it went worldwide.
Yeah. So when we were taking out Bobby, the police officers asked us to stand up, put our hands behind our backs, and I was the one that said, can we not turn ourselves in? Not Bobby, because we believed that we had done anything wrong. Please make sure you understand us clearly. Instead, we wanted to protect. I wanted to protect and believed I was speaking for the five, that we wanted to protect the children from seeing this. And it wasn't, in my mind at the moment, it was not I'm embarrassed. I don't want to be, seen this way. It was more of, hey, let's take care of this in a professional way. The one that because I knew in my heart that we had done everything by the book. We did not do anything wrong. That it was a misunderstanding to the highest degree. But they said no, very, very rudely, very abruptly, and said, no, put your hands behind your back and stand up. And they walked us out the front of the building, which was very heartbreaking for all of us. And my daughter's classroom was actually, her window faced the parking lot where the squad cars were parked, about 10 of them, far more squad cars than were necessary to transport 5 individuals. And because they put 2 of us in a vehicle. And so they just were, in our opinions, trying to make a show of force. And there was a individual in a white car. I remember it very clearly, sitting in our parking lot, or actually on the street, filming the entire thing. And that's what we believe to be media personnel, and it got sent worldwide. But it was a devastating day in a lot of aspects. We went to the jail and got processed in, and continued to get questions from the inmates. What are y'all doing here? Like, y'all don't belong here. This is not. And it was very obvious that we were not the type of people that they expected to see in that environment.
And to speak to what a man of God Jared is, we're sitting there waiting to go through this, and there was another man who was being booked for something, going through a really hard time, and in our own really awful place, Jared stopped and prayed for that young man to have the strength to make it through that day. And we just had faith God was going to see us through this, and we believed we did nothing wrong. We still believe we did nothing wrong, but to show what a man of God, you know, all four of them were, and that we worked so hard to be. You know, I talked to a young lady about, you know, not quitting school and finishing college and not letting this moment define her. And there was definitely God moments in that moment. It was really hard to see at the time.
I mean, how dark a time was that for you, and how long? I'm guessing that went on for months and months, or
I have the oldest school-age children that experienced this. I have 4 kids at Midland Christian, 3 of which were in secondary at the time, and 2 of which had social media. We're real strict on when they get it and what age and how it's monitored and all of that. And we actually had to take all phones and electronic devices up for months because my children received death threats from people all over the world. My children were told they were going to people were going to come to their house and rape them with bats. And they were told that they should be taken away from me because I'm not an adequate mom. And so as bad as it hurt my career, it hurt my children. And it scared my kids so bad that my oldest was a junior the next year, and every single day for lunch, he drove home and ate lunch at home because he was afraid if he didn't come home and check on me that they would come arrest me while he was at school. And that's why we had to leave. My kids couldn't live in fear anymore. And they weren't living. They were like a pale version of themselves because they were always looking over their shoulder, afraid that somebody would come for no reason, because they came for no reason twice. And but my children's lives being threatened and their safety being threatened was truly the lowest of the low I've ever. I would literally sit in jail for 1,000 more years to prevent my children from ever receiving the text messages and the calls that they received, because they're just babies.
My son-in-law called Jill, my wife, to tell her what had happened. And she was like, no, I just talked to him on the phone. He's just going out to talk to the detective. And he said, no, it's already on Twitter, and news had it. I mean, probably within 5 minutes. So, thanks, Dana. You got me shook up now. Anyway, I didn't leave my house for 3 months. Didn't move. Sat in the chair, just devastated. I remember when we came home that night, my grandchildren came over. That was tough. I feel for Dana on her children, because I know what I felt like with my grandchildren. That was not fun at all. Nothing but that at all was right. But for 3 months, I didn't leave my house at all. Didn't go anywhere. I guess the only good thing that came out of that was my wife found out that HEB delivers to the house. We probably wouldn't have eaten. Did find that out. But not leaving the house for I had to do away with my Twitter. I had to do away with my Facebook. Changed my phone. I didn't change my phone number, but I took my message off because I was getting phone calls from Chicago, New York, Los Angeles. My lawyer told me not to take any of those, that he would deal with them. The stuff I got on Twitter, I had to call my niece over to come over and show me how to cancel my Twitter account, cancel my Facebook account because of the same type crap that Dana's talking about I was getting, because I was the baseball coach. And I wasn't even there when I had COVID. The lady never even interviewed me. She never even talked to me. So I found out about it when I came back and went and talked to Dana and Dana and Greg about it. So that was a dark time. It really was. And I hadn't even talked about what it did to my wife, but she was, she had to go through that with me too. She's a lifelong resident of Midland. I'd only been here 22 years. And I had friends that didn't know what to say, how to contact, what they didn't know what to do. And just the whole thing was horrible.
What do y'all hope the lawsuit accomplishes?
My wife and I, Stephanie and I, when we were no bill, discussed this to a large extent about what we wanted to accomplish. And her being an attorney, she knows that there's no winner in a lawsuit. There really isn't. That's not what, we're trying to win anything. Anytime you have a lawsuit, there's going to be difficulty on both sides. But what we hope to accomplish is really three things. One is that we hope and pray that this will bring truth to the Midland community about what was done to us. And unfortunately, the police told a story that was a lie. It had 18 falsehoods, misrepresentations, or omissions that they're required to put in to arrest warrants. They also put those 5 arrest warrants are the same arrest warrants. They're copies, all 5 of us. And so they treated us as a group and not individuals who had different parts in this, as Jenny mentioned earlier. And so we hope that this is the opportunity we get to tell the truth. And Bobby, as Barry and Dana, I believe, both said, thank you for giving us this opportunity, because we have for 2 years wanted to tell our story. But unfortunately, when you have a community that was told a lie that was believed in such a powerful way, it stifles our side. We just don't get that opportunity. So we pray, number one, that the truth is revealed. 2, we pray that accountability is held, that this brings accountability to those officers that grossly misinterpreted the law and applied it in a way that was vindictive and malicious, and not in what was best for us or our children or the children of the school or the Midland community. Because what would have been better for us, the Midland community, the school, would not have been to perp walk us in front of everybody. It's obvious through their actions that it was malicious. And so we want accountability. And so those 2 are the paramount things that we want to see done. And then 3rd, we really want an apology. We would like for there to be the accountability at that level, that we get an apology for what has done. That's not going to change anything, but necessarily. But we hope that in doing so, that will regain some of our reputation. That some of our reputation can be, brought back to us. We know that that's a long shot, but we hope that does happen. So those are the 3 prongs that we really do want. Unfortunately, it's been misconstrued in the community that we just want money, and that's not the case. Obviously, our careers were destroyed, and we want to be compensated properly for that. So that hopefully, because all of us were professional people making pretty good wage, and relied upon that wage, and that was taken from us, and the things that we were that we worked for our entire lives, we can no longer do. And truthfully, none of us did it for the money. Dana and I both could have made twice as much in a public school or in other areas of education, but we did it because we love kids, and that was ripped from us. But again, that's kind of the three things that that started the lawsuit. Steph and I, my wife and I, kind of we're the ones that reached out to Rusty Harden and the group, and Ryan was there as well when we talked to them, and they took on our case, and we're just so thankful for it because they are such professional and outstanding attorneys, well reputed, have a very good reputation. And we just know that they are the best ones for our to fight with us, to be on our team. But when we engaged them, that was the three things that we wanted, that Steph and I really talked about. And whenever I talked with the group, that was kind of the discussions that we had individually was, hey, this is, if we're going to do this, this is the reason. And if we're going to do this, this is what we want to accomplish.